Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So let's go ahead. And I know it's early for me to be on this channel right now, but I will be gone a little bit later on tonight. And so I wanted to make sure that I got a chance to put out a video. If I get back early enough, I will possibly still see you guys for an ophiuchus video on the other channel tonight. But otherwise, let's go ahead and get to a love message here. Also, I want to go ahead and highlight an artist that I really love, actually, a couple of artists that I really, really love, and celebrate Black History Month. Thank you guys so much for being here. Street Priestess, one of my absolute favorites. I have like 7 or 8 of her decks. You can find her on Etsy. Also, La Panthère Studios for their Rhythm and Soul deck, absolutely stellar. And then Meta Tarot Studios and oh gosh, the Whispering. Dang it, it's not going to come to me right now. Actually, I don't have that deck within range. Anyway, I'll try to tag some of these decks for you though. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Let's take a look at a love tarot message here. We start with a 10 of Swords. By the way, this is the Gullah Low Country tarot deck by Street Priestess. This was the first that I ever bought from her, and that began my attempt to own all of hers. So anyway, now I'm up to like 8 of her decks. But we have a 10 of Swords. For the love story, to begin with a 10 of Swords, we see possibly a feminine who has had a pretty significant heartbreak, okay? And although, you know, she's wearing red and white, which can represent the heart and then the logical mind, you notice that the logical mind is, you know, taking over those upper chakras, right? You know, it's like kind of solar plexus, heart chakra, and throat chakra are all encompassed in white, whereas the lower chakras, you know, the root and the sacral are in the red. So that would be like, you know, my emotions are still ruling the root, and, you know, possibly that sacral chakra, the house of, you know, passion and desire. But then my logical mind has taken over, you know, how I'm going to let myself feel about this, how I'm going to talk about this. So I'm going to say that this is a feminine possibly who has like decided in regards to an emotional, really painful ending that she's gone through. She is choosing to walk away, not because she doesn't still have love or even desire, but because she's saying, for my sanity, I must walk away. Hi, guys. So great to see everybody. I must move on. I must walk away. It is something I absolutely have to do. It is not that it's easy to do, but the writing's on the wall. This is done and this is over. And if I want to have a 10 of Cups, then I have to be willing and ready and able to walk away from a place that is clearly not my 10 of Cups. Someone clearly did not try to build with me. They actually might have really instead caused me a lot of hurt and pain. So it's up to me now to walk away. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the person she's walking away from. Okay. So let's take a look, and we'll use that Roots and Soul deck. We have a Page of Jazz, which is the Page of Wands. This person might have simply been very immature. We have the 10 of Wands in the reverse. Hang on. What is that? What does that mean? Hi, everybody. Wishing you guys a great weekend also. You guys are so lovely. We have the 7 of Swords. Oh, they may have told some whoppers of lies. Did you run away and hide, or did you actually tell lies? We have the Star. Okay, so that feminine was actually really great. Okay, that feminine far outshined them. Maybe that was one of the reasons they decided, like, I need to run. I'm feeling like a page. She's a freaking major arcana. She's a star. Like, I got to run from that. There's no way I can possibly be there. We have a 2 of Cups. And we have the, it's so weird because it was like, this person is my 2 of Cups. This person is my sense of peace, my sense of harmony, you know, my temperance. So why did I run? Hang on. I've got to change decks here because that's not tracking very clearly from me. Why did you run from somebody that you loved somebody that you felt such a bond to, such a sense of peace with. Temperance in the reverse. That's weird. So I felt really balanced and like this is the person that I wanted, but I also felt completely imbalanced. I mean, how do we have temperance upright and then in the reverse, right? Page of Pentacles, Queen of Swords. It's only a matter of time before she realizes she's a queen dealing with a page. Okay, so something about her triggered them into saying, look, I'm an imposter. It's not so much that Seven of Swords card was like, I'm trying to lie, I'm trying to, escape. It's more, we saw them as a page first and we see them as a page again, and we see them saying she's going to figure it out. I'm a page. So this is somebody that on one hand felt like she was way out of their league, even though there was a bond, but it was like there was a spiritual bond. But then when it comes to like where my maturity level is versus where hers was, she's going to find out pretty quickly that I'm not at the same level. Now, they may have just simply been feeling inadequacies. This may not even be true. Remember, the Seven of Swords is about lies, and it can be lying to myself and lowering myself in my own thoughts. And that's untrue. Why am I doing that to me? Let me take a look at that specifically. We have the Hermit. We have the Two of Cups. Again, this time, Two of Cups sideways. This did get them thinking heavily. Now, they could be a Virgo, but this got them thinking very heavily about themselves. This got them thinking, again, I don't think that they wanted to run from her, walk away from her, disappear on her. In fact, if anything, meeting her and being really impressed by her could have triggered them to say, I need to mature and I need to do it fast. I don't want to be around her when she's going to figure out that I haven't been that mature. But if I'm like, it triggers me to want to do a deep dive and figure some things out about myself because I want a relationship like that. The only problem is I don't think that they said any of this. I mean, she says it's over. It was really painful, but I got to walk away. Let me ask this. In this time period where she's saying it's over, it's done, I know that I'm not their person, or I know that they didn't want me. Can I just ask, are you, and we'll call him the Hermit, are you currently so heavily in your mind about this romance with her, even though she's at a place where she says it's totally over? I'm trying to figure out if this is like right now they're existing in these same completely opposing minds in regards to this. Eight of Swords, Six of Cups. Okay, so they are definitely still thinking about each other. They are most definitely still in this same like shadowland is what I'll say. In their minds, there is this stuck energy because it's like, but we cared about each other. And on her side, she's like, yeah, and I need to let them go. This is over. This is done. But I keep thinking about how it's over. It's done. Meanwhile, they're over here saying, I've got to like sort myself out because this is such an important connection. I've got to sort myself out because this is such an important connection. And it's like the two of them are still very tethered together at this point, okay? We don't see them separating. We see them tethered together completely at this moment in time still. Justice. It is probably because for a story, I mean, come on, he has the Two of Cups twice on his side. She obviously thought that they were, supposed to be her 10 of Cups, but instead turned into a 10 of Swords. We know how big this was for both of them, which means there's a big mistake that has to be course corrected. The Justice card is here because something so important can't really be left like this. Nine of Wands. It caused too much hurt, particularly to her, is what I'm going to say, just because she's showing up. It is wrong that she got hurt, especially if you loved her like this, but you let her get wounded. She didn't deserve that, especially if she's somebody that you care this much about. So you can't do that to her and just walk on and act like this is okay. NH, I'm so happy. We have the King of Swords, we have the Queen of Cups, and it's sideways. Okay. So neither person, this is shared energy, right? Neither person can forget this. Neither person can move on from this, despite what they're saying and trying to rationalize in their own heads. He still has to talk. She still has to receive. There's, Queen of Cups is about giving and receiving emotions. King of Swords is, communicating and thoughts. There, I would say, because the King of Swords being in the King's energy means he has to project something. He has to send something because it's the masculine energy. I have to send a message to her. Meanwhile, her heart has to be able to receive something because she's in the feminine, so the gravitational pull. And this would be about like, I receive something that will fill my cup. Until this happens, these two aren't probably getting away from each other. Now, I don't know if these two, as much as she began by saying, this is over, this is done, this is over, this is done, for my sanity, I must let this be over and I must move forward. All I can say is the universe is coming in and saying, y'all aren't done yet, because the justice is here, and the universe is always going to kind of like come in and say, whoa, not happening right now. There's wounds, and these wounds have got to be addressed or they will not heal. And these wounds have to be addressed by this. Okay, then I guess since the universe is calling the higher, power into play here, saying, oh no, these two are not separating, going down different roads. We have unfinished business for these two. Four of Cups. The universe is kind of like, okay, I'm picturing, look, I don't know if you grew up with siblings. If you did, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. When we were kids, I distinctly remember you sit in the back seat, and as the car, if you're on a long trip or something, or even just a short trip, you know that the thing a sibling would do, or you would do to them, is when the car would turn, mom's driving and she's making a right turn, you know that you lean on your sibling and you you put pressure on them, and they shriek and they scream, and it's really great. And then they do it to you and you shriek and you scream, and it's really great. It's a thing that you do to make each other uncomfortable. It's just something as siblings do. Okay, I feel like the universe is being the sibling right now, in this case to the masculine, putting the pressure on them, leaning, saying, hey, you want me to get off of you? You want me to, it feels, I don't know why I'm getting this distinct pressure of like, you messed that one up, and I'm going to lean on you, and you're going to have to keep thinking about it, because you're not happy with the way this went, and you're in hermit mode anyway. But it feels, I'm starting to make it more lighthearted, but that's not truly like mean or punishing exactly. It's just, again, if you have siblings, you know what I'm talking about. It's something that is like, oh man, I hate sitting back here with this stinking sibling. This is, what they're going to do. They're going to put pressure on me. They're going to lay across me and squish me. That is basically like at night, in the daytime, they're going to keep feeling the memory of this, because this weighs them down. I hurt somebody that loves me and that I love. I hurt my Two of Cups. I know she's my Two of Cups. I hurt her, which makes me feel bad. But the reason I hurt her is because I felt like she was going to figure out that I'm not really, up to snuff. But I didn't tell her that. So now I know that I hurt her, and that weighs on me, because I actually do really care about her. In fact, that's a whole problem. This is the origin of this problem. I hurt the person that I really, really love because I thought I wasn't going to be up to snuff. But I can't shake off the fact that I hurt her. So this isn't going to go away, is what the universe says. I'm going to lay on you. I'm going to lay on you until you deal with this. Like, that's the best way I could describe this. I have no idea why that's the image that I've got. I guess because it's just enough to be so aggravating that he's going to be so freaking uncomfortable. The Four of Cups is the disappointment. And that's going to seep into everything, because he hasn't handled things right. And until he goes ahead and says what he needs to say with the Ace of Swords, which is, I need to say the truth. Until he gets the truth off his chest, he's not going to be able to not feel this disappointment with, I'm going to say, let me ask, what is the real feeling of the disappointment coming from? Ace of Wands, because he never said the thing that he really meant, which is, I wanted so, so, so much to be with you. And Ace is personal, and this is huge passion, huge desire. And I want to say that's probably one of the things that he never conveyed. I wanted so much to have this with you. I don't think he said that. And perhaps that's going to be the best way to illuminate. If I wanted this so much, but then I ran from it, then that indicates a lot about the disconnect. You didn't run because you didn't want it. You ran because you did, and you either were so fearful that you weren't enough, or you didn't see how it could work. That might be a pretty significant, because it's an I am statement, right? The aces are personal. It's when I take responsibility. I did this. I was feeling this way. I wanted this, but here's what I need to tell you about why I behaved the way I did and how my actions might have made you feel. But let me explain to you why I am, or why I did what I did. They have to take personal accountability. That's where the discomfort is coming from. Until you take personal accountability, you can't just sit there and be sad. You're not going to be comfortable because you owe her the explanation about your own behavior, because you hurt your Two of Cups. And to make it right, you have to own this. You have to tell her, because it's the only way that maybe she won't hurt anymore. Knight of Swords. And the greater the discomfort, the greater the motive to just go ahead and blurt it out. Their discomfort, like I said, the sibling leaning on you in the car, that's uncomfortable. That's how it feels, and they're getting pretty fed up with it, their own discomfort over this. Because I'm feeling like they're not sleeping so good anymore. I'm feeling like day and night they're feeling this regret. I'm feeling like the pressure of her and what happened with her and the way they feel about her and the words they didn't explain to her. I'm feeling like that has been like starting to, like I say, saturate everything in their day, in their night. This has become the most notable pressure in their life that's going to have to be dealt with sooner rather than later. And I would say it's possibly because it's been mounting distress for her as well. The Four of Swords, she just is like, I just want to heal from this. My God, I just want to heal from this. I just want to walk away from this. I want to forget this even happened. I got to go. I got to go. I got to let go of this. But she's not sleeping good at night either. But it's like she keeps telling herself, damn it, why can't I heal? Why can't I just let this thing go? Let me just ask, universe, why can't she just let it go and let it heal? The Devil, sideways. Because, again, if these two had such a bond with the Two of Cups, and we already saw the universe came in and said, listen, y'all are connected by the Libra scales, that's what's going to happen when things have to be made right. She maybe isn't being honest either about, how upset and how hurt or how angry she's been, and the fact that she hasn't been able to let something go, because it's like their guilt over this is actually, like, again, seeping into her own world too. Like, when I said the siblings like lean on you on one side and then it flips to the other side, it could be that she's picking up on their regret, or she is unable to let it heal because she never got the answer. Like, why the hell, if you loved me and cared about me, why would you have done that and taken no accountability? And that could be like a thorn in her finger, that won't heal because there hasn't been any accountability. This just says that there's two people are harboring, things that are making it really hard to let this go. Now, let me just ask this, universe, could they find a way to let this go without ever needing to communicate? I mean, because I think lots of times in life we have to let stuff go even if we don't have answers. Yes, of course, because not all things, I mean, this storyline looks like these two are destined to communicate sooner rather than later, right? But let's say he never does get around to communicating to her. What, is she destined to have to always leave this as an unhealed thing? And the universe says, no, of course not. Not everything in life ever gets tidied up, so we can't wait for that day or say, I'm going to stay unhealed until they do the right thing. Instead, the universe says, no, here's the thing. How we get beyond something in life is to turn into the Queen of Wands energy, which I kind of love that as the message, because the Queen of Wands is our most I'm going to say like decisive queen, who looks at the world through a lens that says, I deserve to pick things that I actually want in my life. And what I want for myself is things that will blossom and grow, because I deserve things that are awesome. I give my energy to things that I make blossom and grow. I know that I have to choose wisely in this lifetime, and I can only afford to choose things that are going to give something back to me. Now, sometimes I'll pick things and I don't get much for it. That's where I cut my losses and I move on, and I only choose to give to people, places, and things that actually, you know, look, she'll always go after what she wants, but the thing is, she cuts her losses if the thing that she wants doesn't yield results. And I could understand how the universe is saying, in the event this conversation never happens, is she destined to never heal from this? No, she will carry on, but she will carry on as a Queen of Wands, which means she will say, at some point, instead of trying to heal, I give up on healing. And instead, I look at it with these eyes of, you know what? That was a crappy experience where I gave a lot and got nothing back for it, which is why I'll be damned if I'm going to keep giving energy to that anymore. Doesn't mean she has to vilify or get mad. It just says, I learn a lesson of make sure that I get something back for the energy that I put out. And if I don't, I have to be the person who says, well, guess that one didn't work out. I chalk that one up to some, expense of energy, but I continue on and I don't beat myself up over it. And I'm not going to let myself feel sad or bad. I'm just going to keep choosing better from here on out. And it says, if this conversation never happens, as long as she pushes herself into that Queen of Wands energy, she will be fine. She will move beyond this. Now, let's go back though and say, is it that this energy, because they did not set out to hurt her. Okay. That is one thing. This person, if we go back to the beginning, they loved her from the gate. They felt like there was a genuine bond here. They thought she was amazing. The only thing that wasn't amazing is how they felt about themselves. This was their wounds. This wasn't them trying to hurt her. This wasn't them being toxic. That's not what this was, which is probably why this storyline says, hey, this still needs to be resolved. These two need to talk, because if you didn't intend to hurt somebody, but your own fears made you behave a certain way and that hurt the person that you love, then you're going to be bothered by this because you hurt somebody that you loved and you never wanted to hurt them. And that's probably why it's like, you got to at least set that right for your own peace of mind, but to also course correct something. This story is a little different. They never tried to cause her grief. Maybe that's also why it was hard for her to move on from herself, because it's like, even though I was caused sadness and I need to walk away from this, it's really hard to, because there was something good there. There was a bond there. So why did everything go belly up? This is one of those, I feel like we always get the toughest stories to try to describe because you're so detailed and intricate on this channel. I don't know why that is, but we see a way through this in the event, this conversation never happens. But we also see the greater likelihood is because there was a real bond, and because this all boiled down to somebody who didn't want to hurt her, but they had too many of their own, feelings of inadequacies. That's why I think it's like, no, this situation is headed for a communication. We have the King of Wands upright, and we already saw that Knight of Swords, and we already said this pressure seems to keep getting worse, not better. Like, he's got to fix this. He's got to go ahead and speak from his heart. And that's how, this storyline has to be, I don't know, just, he's got to announce it. And remember, we said the way that maybe this thing could be healed if she never gets the conversation is for her to shift into Queen of Wands. Well, it's interesting because the way for this situation to be healed on his part is to speak from the heart, to take action from the heart. Page of Swords and the World. I would say this is him, kind of like gathering his thoughts for how do I say the way I really felt? How do I just blurt it out? And when and how do I connect to her? This could be picking a time. The world can have to do with timing. What day, what hour? Let me check and see when do I think she might be, you know, accessible so that I can maybe either convey my thoughts. That's what this feels like because this has been so uncomfortable for such a long time for him. And then here she is trying to move on. And I just feel like this is inevitable that this communication between the two of them is about to happen. He seems, let me ask with the Page of Swords, what is it that you're checking up on? We have a Two of Pentacles, we have Emperor. And both of those cards came out sideways. So I would definitely argue that it's like partly it's him, you know, gathering his thoughts, partly it's him gathering his confidence, and then partly it's him saying, when is a good time to do this? I still don't know that it looks like he's saying, I want to offer her my heart and then say, hey, can we get back together? I honestly think he's still feeling insecure, but wants to tell her that he loves her. That could still be deeply confusing for both of them, because where does this leave stuff? What are you asking for? You know, I don't think this is going to be a perfect conversation, but with the Justice card sideways, it's going to go a long way for both of them to gaining some kind of understanding that this wasn't intended to cause grief to either of them. This is the beginning of making things right, even if it's not like, hey, let's get together because now I feel so amazing and let's do this. We have the Knight of Wands. This could start like a different dialogue, like an inspired dialogue. We have the World card upright. It definitely changes the footing between the two of them. How swiftly does this come in? We have got Six of Cups, Lovers in the reverse, Eight of Swords in the reverse. I don't know if this is like before the 8th. I mean, today is the 6th. Maybe it's as soon as today, tonight, something like that. But look, neither person seems to have been able to move forward. They're not able to, like, I think specifically has not moved on to any new romantic connection. I think we're at some bubbling precipice right now where it's like it's somewhere in the next like 48 hours that these two have to just have this dialogue, because as Six of Cups, things are actually starting to align where both of them are in a place where it's like, this is intolerable to continue on like this. Something needs to give. We need the real conversation. And so it just feels like it's imminent. It feels like it's coming. Final message on this. Three of Swords, Five of Pentacles sideways. I think that it's going to be a very raw conversation about sadness, heartbreak, what has already happened, the way they both felt about all of this, the reasons that this thing played out the way it did, the feelings of, you know, how it made each person feel. I think it's going to be a really powerful conversation to be able to communicate about the feeling of heartbreak or betrayal, the feeling of loss, the feeling of loneliness, the feeling of isolation. Like, I just feel like there is no guards up. I think that these two are going to be able to really, really talk. I know I said it's the last card, but I do have to ask this. If these two are going to be able to talk at such a deep level of vulnerability, where does that leave them after this dialogue? Four of Cups, first feeling like, well, damn, we sure missed out. Like, we should have this conversation a long time ago. This goes back to him feeling this deep disappointment. Like, all this has been a mess. Empress in the reverse, it may also make her feel like still rejected somehow. They may be able to talk about that too. Five of Swords, Six of Swords, talking about like all of this and, you know, frustration and anger and not getting closure. So it's interesting because it's like these two get to talk about how much they actually wanted this, the kind of hurt that they felt, the kind of anger and, you know, lack of peace, And the Tower sideways, we do not see this getting all healed in one conversation. This is not the ultimate cathartic, everything's perfect now, let's skip to, happiness. In fact, it seems like what sits here is this huge, like, so I don't get it. What are we doing then? We had a chance at a 10 of cups, somehow got blown apart. And that's hurtful and that's frustrating and that's all those things. And now we're still sitting here in this no man's land. So what, do we let this go? What are we doing with the 10 of cups? I don't know. Actually, let's change the decks one last time and say, universe, what is the best message on this? What is the best, thing to maybe contemplate or consider? The star, the universe says, remember, this is a conversation to heal. It's not a conversation to plan everything out. It's what is it that we need to get to heal? Okay. The Fool. I know this is going to sound crazy, but it almost feels like these two, they have a conversation that doesn't actually make things better, because they're still sitting there going, what the hell? And scratching their heads and feeling like, so we loved each other. It's all this fear, all these problems, all of this. And then it was all for nothing because we're still saying, but I guess this is goodbye. And the universe is like, maybe these two need to have a face-to-face. Why would that be the case? Temperance, because there's something about their energies. They may feel very different when they see each other face to face. They may feel greater comfort and understanding, not just having a dry conversation, but I don't think this thing can really be resolved or really be over or really have closure or really know where it's going until they get a face to face. 9 of Cups, 8 of Coins. It almost feels like everything's going to feel different for them to be face to face. Everything will click differently. I honestly think that the energy of them seeing each other is going to be really, really nice. So these two, man, this has been a long storyline to get to. So they're finally having a conversation, which doesn't fix anything because they actually have to see each other. And that's where like this overwhelming joy of actually just seeing one another and feeling peaceful at seeing each other, despite this huge mess that still exists that hasn't been worked through. I'm going to say it like this because we keep seeing a lot of masculine energy and him taking the action. He's the one who would be traveling to go see her if she'll allow it. She's the one at a distance. He's the one who would be putting in the effort to go see her. There's something about him putting in the effort that right there might do a lot for her to say, okay, he really does want to heal things with me. This, I can see he's putting in the effort because he needs to see me. That says a great deal. But then him seeing her in turn sparks something more in him to where it's like all this energy of like, oh, I'm not good enough. I don't know how to fix this. I really wanted to be with her, but I probably blew it, even though I really loved her. It's like he feels the same sense of temperance that he always felt with her. We saw it twice for him. And now it's like it gets more like singular. Like, what the hell am I thinking? She makes me so happy. Like seeing her, it makes me realize I'm a lot closer to having worked out some of the things that I was stressed out over in myself also, because seeing her gives me like a direction. There's a reason that I've wanted to even be on my hermit's journey. It's because I'd like to go ahead and, get some kind of direction. She is a direction for him. Maybe she is his true North Star. Maybe that's why she's come up as a star. He does not know if she would fall for him again, but it says meeting each other face to face again for him would give a lot of clarity. I mean, it does for her as well. It gives her a sense of peace because he's putting in effort. Oh, we will do a Cancerian tomorrow on Saturday, sweetheart. I will see Cancerians on Saturday. We have a 10 of Cups. You know what? Seeing each other face to face again. something that did not ever seem like it was going to be possible, or it seemed like it was a missed opportunity, I don't think is a missed opportunity after all. It's interesting that time had to pass. These two needed to come back into each other's worlds. There's also a sense of loyalty. We see the two dogs front and center, and dogs always represent loyalty. There is a certain energy where all throughout this, we've seen them as the Two of Cups twice. We've seen them as the Six of Cups twice. We've seen the Temperance again and again and again. We've seen the Ten of Cups multiple times, 3 times, always in the upright. Like, I don't get it. I don't get how we missed the Ten of Cups here, because it wasn't supposed to be missed. It was just delayed. And I think this is the turnaround for this, finally. But these two had to go this far apart in order to turn back around and end up back together. And in order to finally, and maybe this was about timing. Maybe this was about, growth and, like finally understanding that in order to feel like you can be a part of a 10 of Cups, both people have to believe that about themselves, right? And I know this is the 8 of Coins, but God, doesn't that look so much like the Wheel of Fortune? Like he's been building the Wheel of Fortune, working with divine timing. He needed to believe that he could be part of a 10 of Cups. I kind of think that these two, for what it's worth, I know this was a really lengthy story and it took us all over the place only to bring us back again. But it kind of had to go this way. I'm picturing more like the infinity symbol where you weave around and then you come back to center again. That's kind of what this storyline was for both of them. They were never not possibly going to be an amazing 10 of Cups, but the timing definitely wasn't right until now. But it's ironic that they have to actually see each other face to face before they can face it, because just having conversations, never going to fix this. They're never going to get to the answer of what are we supposed to be, because in the end, they actually have to be around each other's energy again for it to all click into place. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave this here. You guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. I've got to disappear. In fact, I'm a little bit late. I have to run, but I will see you guys possibly late tonight for an ophiuchus video. If not, we'll see ophiuchus tomorrow on the other channel. We'll also see Cancer on this channel on Saturday. I'm just doing one video for Cancer each week, and I think I'll keep it on Saturday unless I see a lot more indicator that Cancerians want more videos, and then I'll go back to trying to give you guys 2 per week. But I send you guys lots of love. MCAT, thank you so much. You guys, lots of love. Thank you, everybody. Oh, yeah, Elle, no, I'm changing it for everybody. I can't keep giving so much time and energy to zodiacs that just are not really interacting. They don't give thumbs up. They don't really tell me that they want more videos. So, like, I'm actually cutting back on a lot of the zodiacs. There's like 4 in total that I'll only do 1 per week for the most part. From now on, I won't make them a priority anymore because I just can't when I'm not seeing that they want the videos. And then what happens is, I typically put out a lot of content, but when I do that, some videos are never even seen. So then I have people that have been saying, well, I understand you only do 1 Scorpio per month. And I'm like, you guys get 2 a week. So I realize that it hurts my channels when I put out content that isn't being viewed. And then people further think that I don't do it anyway because they're not checking the playlist. And then those that do watch are either not interacting, they're not taking the time to give it a thumbs up, which means the videos don't circulate. So I'm just watching now and paying attention so that I don't spend a lot of time. I always say don't invest in, time and money or food or anything. Like, don't make a big buffet if nobody's showing up to eat. If they don't want it, I don't want to force an audience to have 2 videos a week if they don't want it. So I'm shifting over, and I'm no longer going to make several zodiacs a priority. They'll all just get 1 per week, that, because I know some people still want it, but it's such a small group that are interacting, especially on Cancerian videos also, that I'm like, no, I think 1 a week is good unless I see significant change. And that's going to be true for several. It's not to be mean. It's just, I feel stupid making content for the zodiacs that aren't watching, or if they do, they don't care about it. So I don't want to force feed you guys stuff that you're not asking me for. So everybody wants Cancer. You still get 1 per week. If the group that watches wants more, they can interact with it more and let me know, and then I'll do more. But I'm just doing that from now on until I see some growth, because, I've been at this 6 years, and some of my watch groups are still just so small and so non interactive that I kind of felt like, let me give my time to the zodiacs that are saying they want more. So anyway, guys, Cancerians, if you want more, you can tell me about it and then I'll give you guys more. But for a while, it'll just be one per week, and that'll be the case for a couple of zodiacs. So all right, you guys, lots of love. I love you guys too. Not at all, Yael. You're such a sweetheart. Never impertinent. I'm glad you asked. And it's also important that you guys know it's not like I would love to do. I love cancers. I've always gotten along great with cancers. In fact, the most important people in my life have been Cancerians, and yet they don't seem to watch my channels no matter where I put Cancer. And so I'm like, I don't know. Cancers doesn't like me so much, but I like them. They just don't want to play in my sandbox. So anyway, you guys, it's not to be rude. I hope you all know that. I don't want to keep, force feeding you guys stuff that you didn't want. So anyway, I follow the audience. I'll only give you guys what you actually want from me. Otherwise, I don't want to, I don't want to give you guys stuff that you didn't ask for. That's all. All right, lots of love. Bye, you guys. Take care. Yeah, I'll right back at you.